Okay, what is the name of your group and where are you located, city and states? I'll start?
Go ahead.
Thanks. The name of our group is ORT, or it's Ohio Researchers of Banded Spirits, and we are located in Northwest Ohio, basically Fremont, but we have members throughout the entire state. Introduce each person individually, name, and if the person has a specific job or task when you go out investigating. Well, my name is Chris Page. I'm actually the founder of the group.
I'm Carlo, the project manager.
What do you do?
Everybody
knows what a founder is.
I do all kinds of stuff. I put cases together. I talk to clients. I get them ready for everything. We do special events, and we'll coordinate those and put those together. And just a little bit of everything. And I let Chris sit around, do nothing while I do all the work.
No. Actually, Carlo and I are the brains of the operation. We've helped us survive for 11 years now. And that kind of answers the next question. How long have you guys been investigating as a group? 11 years. It's a known fact that most teams will go defunct in under 2 years. That's because they lose the passion and the dedication that's involved in this. This takes a lot of time away from, your loved ones. We spend more time with each other than we do family. We actually become family in the end. So it's a lot of time on the road. It's a lot of time that we spend going over our evidence and research. So you have to have the dedication, you have to have the passion to do this. This isn't just a hobby. This isn't something that you do for fun for the most part. We're helping families and we're making a difference out there. Anything you want to add to that?
No, I think you covered it all.
You're going to make this easy.
Yep.
My phone just went dead. What led you all to paranormal investigating? What inspired you?
Well,
let's go back to the group part, though. So not only have you been investigating for 11 years, see, this is where I try to throw you a bone and have you jump in. We've done 7 different states. We've done about 400 investigations within those states. We were one of the first teams in Ohio to actually do cleansings and blessings. We learned a long time ago that during our interview process, one of the questions that we typically asked was, has clergy been contacted? Have you gone to the church and has the church helped you? And the most disturbing responses that we got were no. The church will not help us. So even though the church preaches heaven and hell and there is true evil out there, when it comes into the reality, they're like, oh no. You need to seek somebody else. You need to, go somewhere else for, whatever this issue is that you're having. So we became laymen ourselves and decided that, most teams out there just want to have fun. They want to go get something great that they can put on YouTube and become YouTube famous with a couple 100,000 hits. But the families are still left with the same thing. They're still left with the haunt. So what are we going to do different that separates us from everybody else? And that was the cleansing and the blessings. We educate our clients. We help empower them. We help bring their homes back to them. Their homes are under siege, so we have to, go into battle with them, with whatever these unseen forces are, and help them regain all that. So we have to give them a resolution to what their problems are, and not just catch something really cool on video.
Which a lot of people do. And, we don't take this for granted. This is something that we take serious, and we put our love and passion into this, and we do want to help families. That's our main goal. We also love going into haunted locations where others go, to the so-called Mansfield prison and all that. But, we find more evidence and EVPs and stuff like that out of homes. The crazy stuff actually comes out of people's houses.
We love validating whatever's going on in any location. We are the first team in the world to actually dive into haunted vehicles. Back in 2009, we kind of stumbled across it by accident, and we found that not anybody was doing it. Any form of transportation, America has a love affair with its transportation, whether it's military vehicles, classic cars, police cars, fire trucks, airplanes, ambulances. Anything that's motorized, we found that there could be can be and is attachments to it. I always use the example of my father. You know, he's in his mid-70s and failing health. He loved 57 Chevys, and he's restored several of them. So say he puts his blood, sweat, and tears into this 57 classic Chevy, and he goes driving down the street and he gets T-boned, he dies instantly. They're not going to total that car out. It's a 57 Chevy. It's a classic piece of Americana. They're going to restore it, and they're going to put it back on the road and sell it to somebody else. So in the meantime, his spirit's going to stay behind because he doesn't want to see somebody trash it. So he's going to haunt it and he's going to protect it. So that's how, just one situation, how vehicles can be haunted. Yeah. And back in 2009 when we started this, you could do a Google search and all you would find is the movie Christine. Actually, Carlo and I are like what I consider the godfathers of haunted vehicles, and we actually put the term on Google. Now you do a Google search for haunted vehicles or haunted transportation, and everybody jumps on the bandwagon and puts stuff out there. They've heard our stories and investigations that we've done, and so we're kind of proud about that.
And some of the most intense investigations we've done were with vehicles. I mean, we
absolutely
did the train. That's one of the most haunted locations I've ever been in myself.
Yep. Let's see here. So, what led us to the paranormal investigating? What inspired us?
What inspired me was when I was a child. I had my own personal experience. I was physically attacked by a spirit. From that point on, it always piqued my interest, and I wanted to research more into it, and I got involved with a team. I actually contacted Chris at one time, maybe 2009 I joined the team, and you know, I wanted to help others. You know, I wanted to get other people answers just like I was looking for.
And then my experience started at the age of 5. My grandmother had come to me. I went to her funeral, and about a week later I was playing in my toy box in my closet, and I had heard her call my name. I go running through the house looking for Grandma because she lived with us the last 10 years of her life because she had diabetes really bad. And to find Grandma wasn't there, and to remember, you know, oh well, I went to Grandma's funeral last week, but I distinctly heard her voice. Fast forward about 18 years later, I was going through a divorce, and she had come to me because I was doing a lot of drinking and stuff like that. It was a bad divorce, and she kind of let me know that, you know, things are going to be all right. Things are going to look up for me. You know, and to think that she was still stuck in that location almost 20 years later, you know, in my parents' house. Then after that, they didn't want me to join and do anything paranormal related. I was just like, okay, well, this is how life is. Just a weird situation. My grandmother that was dead for 20 years came to me again, and I lived in a couple houses that were haunted. Once again, I just learned to live with it. You can live with some hauntings. It wasn't too disturbing until it started holding down, you know, my girlfriend and like pinning them down to the bed. And so then I decided to hook up with a friend, and we started doing investigating in her house and at my house. Decided to get a website up and show our experiences that we had at both locations, and it kind of took on from there, and people started writing in asking us if we could help them. And then shortly after our existence of becoming a group is when Carlo, you know, signed on to us, and it's kind of been just a
roller coaster.
A roller coaster, a fun roller coaster ever since, and 11 years later. So we've got the integrity, the longevity, we've got the good name. You know, it takes a lifetime to build a reputation, and, you know, without honesty and reliability, it takes a few seconds to destroy that too. So we're in it for the long haul. And we definitely have the passion and dedication for it. So, what tools or devices do you use to investigate to ensure you get activity as soon as you start investigating?
Want me to start?
Sure.
My tool is the thermal imaging camera. I like to enter a location where nobody's in there, and I like to pan the area and see if I can capture anything different that may be out of place. A lot of times, you will capture some weird anomaly forming. I remember Chris and I were locked in the old Eagles building in Lorain, Ohio. We were in there for hours. We were the only 2 people in there, It's been 10 years since somebody's even entered this building. We were locked in. There was no way out. The janitor had the keys, and he was in the building next door. So it would take us a few minutes to even get out of this place. And I remember
it was spooky.
around. Oh, yeah.
It was spooky.
It was
I mean, you see a lot of shows and they're like, oh, we're locked into this location, but they have like 15 camera guys with them and crew. No, it was just Carlo and I. So if there was somebody that was like,
Well, there was somebody.
There was somebody, but if there's like a homeless person or some drug addict was in there, it's going to take at least 5 minutes. And 5 minutes doesn't sound like a long time, but just count to 30 seconds right now, and you're like, that's an eternity. And when something's happening, 5 minutes is like 5 hours.
Absolutely. And I remember I turned a corner, and I remember actually before the investigation, there was a bar downstairs, and they would tell us that they would see a guy looking at the second floor window. Well, anyway, when I turned this corner, there used to be an old bar there, and the story is a gentleman did have a heart attack in this location. And I turn the corner, and I see this thing form, and looked like a human, and it kind of hunched over and walked across the doorway. My thoughts were is there a homeless guy? You're not thinking really fast, because I'm looking at this thermal, and Chris and I gave chase. And the only place to go through was a brick wall on the second floor. There was no doorways or
nobody
anything.
there. Nothing was there.
And then when we reviewed the video, we noticed that the body temperature was only at 48 degrees. There's no living person that's going to walk around at 48 degrees.
So that's Carlo's favorite piece of equipment. Mine actually is, I have two pieces. Radiation. I do a lot with radiation. I read about 8 years ago, somebody did an article and they're like, hey, I believe that spirits give off some type of radiation when they try to manifest. I thought it was the dumbest, ridiculous, stupidest thing I ever heard in my life. So I went out and bought a radiation detector. What else, right? And I was like, well, it's kind of a cool concept. I'd never heard of it before in my life. And bought this civil defense 1960s radiation detector off of eBay for like $40. And we had done a historical, it was like a farm at that time, and we had our normal other digital equipment around it, and sure enough, this meter started spiking, and we could hear running on the roof of the barn, and our other meters, our digital meters, were going off, and I'm like, wow, this guy had a great concept, and we were actually validating it for him. I've since upgraded to higher end, more expensive digital radiation detectors, and most investigations, we do pick up some type of radiation. It hits a certain level. I'll tell everybody that I'm with that it's at level 13, it's at level 16. Something's going to happen right now, and 99.9% of the time, something ends up happening. So we've actually validated a lot of our investigations with the radiation, which is pretty amazing. And then we also, over the years, have kind of dove into creating our own equipment. Carlo used to come to me and be like, it'd be really cool if we could do this, or it'd be really cool if we could do that. And we stumbled across mass detection, which is basically mass density difference. So if we call it the Raven, it's about the size of the cell phone, and if something physically touches it within about an inch or two of the head of this little device, it'll sound an alarm and it'll light up. You physically have to touch it for it to do that. So we set it up on locations. We've been using the technology, and we've got the third version, which is the Raven now, over the last 8 years. And we actually have really good results with it. Built into it also is radiation, because I love radiation. So I have a little radiation board about the size of a postage stamp that's built into it. And then the other part of that is static LED lights. When you ever hear the stories like the hair stood up on the back of my neck or on my arms, that's static charge in the environment. So we put gender-specific and question-specific LED lights that have static relays in them. So we have red, green for yes, no questions, pink and blue for male, female questions, and then psychologically, purple represents fear, sadness, or loneliness, so we have what we call the fear light is built into it. So when it detects static charge and there's paranormal activity happening, the lights are shut off. So that's my other favorite piece of equipment, the Raven that we designed. And of course, it has to be my favorite piece because I designed it, right?
Yeah, and it's really neat when Chris was talking, the two pieces of equipment working at the same time. I remember we did a location out in Strongsville, and Chris had the radiation detector going, and it started peaking real high. He's like, oh man, something about already happened. I was paying attention to him, and I had the thermal facing the doorway.
Yeah,
And,
that was a really cool video, that one was.
and when I got home, when I reviewed it, at the same time, you could see the shadow of like a person looking around the door, peeking, and almost like it timed us, and then it ran across the doorway. And
like it was scared, like it was listening to us, but it was just kind of like not sure,
waiting for that moment to take off.
Yep.
And just to validate the two pieces of equipment working together was really neat.
Now, that was a really cool time. Let's see here. How do you capture activity? Spirit boxes, EMF meters, etc. Which device typically generates activity quickly? Interesting. It's basically the equipment that we use. We use a lot. We have about $30,000 in equipment, so there's a large variety that we use. We stick to our favorites because those are the ones that we have the most results with. However, there are devices that we have, EMF generators that pump white noise into or static into the environment. We also utilize a Tesla coil. If you know anything about Edison and Tesla, they had this big rivalry with AC and DC current and everything, and Edison made Tesla look like he was crazy, and his version was the worst. But we use an actual Tesla coil to help pump energy into the environment to give spirits that extra oomph and that extra ability to talk to us. Because you always hear the stories, well, they're draining our energy, they're draining our equipment's batteries and everything. So we're like, let's just make it a big smorgasbord for these guys, right? We want to talk to them, but we want to still have available batteries. So we just hook up this Tesla coil that shoots us electricity into the environment, and it helps them communicate with us a lot better.
Yeah, I mean, like Chris was mentioning, one tool may work on one investigation, one may work on another. That's why we got so much. 99.9% of our evidence are EVPs, electronic voice phenomena. We capture spirit voices on our reporters. But, to physically capture stuff on film, thermal, anything like that, it's hard, but it can be done. I mean, it takes a lot of video, a lot of looking over to capture something like that.
Which is where the dedication and passion comes from again.
Absolutely.
Next question. Where do you guys search specific locations, famous haunted locations? We search anywhere and everywhere. Doesn't matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's a one-bedroom apartment, 15-floor hotel, a vehicle, motorcycle. It doesn't matter. Ship. We've investigated ships before. It doesn't really matter. So anywhere that we think there's a haunting or where we are needed because there is a haunting is where we're going to investigate. So obviously done 7 states. So distance really isn't a big issue for the most part. We've gotten calls from as far as Australia. Wasn't one from Germany?
Germany, Australia, Texas.
So
got quite a few. We never did travel to Texas though.
No.
That
Or
was
Australia.
out of our budget. We did go to Wisconsin.
Well, Texas is more in our budget than Australia or Germany. But we do have passports too, so we can travel anywhere in the world. So just have to save up a couple pennies for that one. What makes your group different from other paranormal investigating groups? We're the best. That's all there is to it. We love what we're doing. We actually become friends with our clients. We're not in it for like the shits and giggles. We like to have a good time and all that, but we're serious about what we do, even though we do have fun. But we're respectful to the spirits. We're there not only to help the living, but we're there to help the dead too. Because a lot of the spirits that we encounter, they're confused, they're lost, they don't know what they're doing, they don't know what's happened to them. A lot of times when we come into like children's spirits, most of us as parents don't teach our children about death. So when something tragic happens to them, they don't know what it is that they're experiencing. So we help give spirits resolutions too. Anything more like the demonic side, we have a priest out of Michigan that we bring in. And we also have a spiritual advisor that we work with in Ohio. So we're a very well-rounded group, very well-educated. I also have a bachelor's in psychology. So we look at all different avenues. And like I mentioned earlier, we help give resolution. We help give empowerment. We educate, our clients with everything. Not a lot of groups will do any of that. And we keep constantly trying to think of new equipment to design, different ways to capture the paranormal, different techniques to capture and bring about the paranormal.
Yeah, I know when Chris mentioned cleansings and blessings, and a lot of teams don't do that. We do go in after a lot of teams been at a location and clean up after them because, they stir things up and they leave and the family's still stuck with what's there. So a lot of times we do that, and that makes us different from a lot of teams, because a lot of teams do not offer that.
Or they won't even contact the client again.
Yeah.
You have to be pretty distraught to have a complete strangers, or say I'm the one that's haunted. I have to be, you can't call 911. I have to be pretty distraught because my family thinks I'm crazy, my friends are laughing at me. To invite in a group of complete strangers into my home, that takes a lot of guts, and you have to be pretty much at your wit's end to be able to do something like that. And then, you allow somebody to do that, and then they catch something really cool to them. It's not so cool to you, and then they're just like, peace out, and then you never hear from them again. And that's what we come across a lot too, is they just abandon the people. So there's a lot of clients that we've actually worked with for several years. And they actually become part of our family. Some of them have actually even over the years joined the group because they wanted to help families just like we helped them. So it's kind of paying it forward type of thing that not a lot of groups do. So they always talk about para-unity and all that, but everybody's cutthroat. Everybody wants to.
In this field, they are.
Yeah. They are very cutthroat in this field. Everybody wants to know what you're doing and what you're up to, and it's just ridiculous. We stay to ourselves. We stay true to ourselves. We stay humble in everything we do. All the shows that we've already done, Animal Planet, History Channel, I'm sure Carlo's given you our bio and everything we've done. You can meet us on the street. We'll talk to you for 4 hours. We don't let it get to our heads. We stay humble with everything. We love talking to people. We love talking paranormal. I'll give you a perfect example. We do a lot of public lectures too. We do a 2-hour PowerPoint presentation. I screwed up a couple weeks ago. I brought the flash drive, but guess what? The flash drive didn't have the PowerPoint on it. So I'm like, what do I do, right? This is the first time, all these years doing hundreds of all these PowerPoints and public lectures. I forgot the freaking flash drive.
We were like deer in headlights.
I did, and I pulled McKenna and Carla aside. I was like, "Oh my God, you're not going to believe it! I freaking forgot the flash drive. We don't have a PowerPoint. We had a packed room, 100 and some people in there. What do? Talked 2 hours of just nonstop talking about the paranormal.
2 hours.
Yeah,
like 2.5
nonstop
hours.
talking about the paranormal, just off the top of our heads, just right there on the spot, and that's just how we are. And then the director of the library that we're doing this at come up, and he's like, wow, if you can do 2 hours of talking just off the top of your head, how long was your PowerPoint? So it kind of felt good that, but it just shows you the passion, dedication, the knowledge, and, how much we're into this field and just love everything about it.
Absolutely.
Let's see here. Is there anyone in your group who feels the experience personally, cold senses, sense spirits, has certain intuitions? And I think, Carlo and I, it's all about good energy. Everything in the paranormal is based on energy. Our soul, our personality, that's all energy. Just like we're having good energy with this, interview and talking to you guys. If you have bad energy, negative thoughts and all that, it's going to affect the paranormal. Most of our equipment detects energy. So you can do this for a very long time, and you become in tune with your environment. Carlo and I have, we're best friends. We have really good energy together. And when we do investigations, because of that energy and how we are outside of, work and how we are outside the group, we bring that into investigating, and the spirits know that, because you look at it like a stadium with all the doors are locked except for one, and there's a massive fire. There's 50,000 people that need to get out of the stadium. Is everybody going to go to the closed doors? No, you're going to go to the open door because it only makes sense. It's the same with the paranormal. If you have good energy and you're open to the possibility of, spirits come to you all the time. We are not psychics by any means, but almost every single investigation, we will hear spirits talking to us.
Right, and we become more in tune with the environment. And doing this for such a long time, Chris and I will be working, and I'll hear hello, and I'd be like, oh my God, did you hear that? And he'll validate it instantly. Yeah, I heard hello. So it doesn't make you psychic, but it opens you up more to this.
And people may call us psychics, but I really don't believe in psychics, to be quite honest with you. And that's just my own personal thing.
That's because we haven't found a good one yet.
We haven't found a good one.
If you guys could find us a good one, maybe we'll believe in one.
So I have my own reasons for it, but yeah, we have that ability, I guess, to have spirits come to us and actually hear. And it's so weird because, like Carlos said, we've always validated each other, and we've never just said, hey, okay, tonight, this is how we're going to do it, and this is what we're going to do. It's just naturally worked with us. If I hear a little boy say mommy, I'm just like, dude, I just heard something. And he'll say, yeah, it was a little boy that said mommy. It's just how it's always worked with us. But we've always validated each other like that, and it's so cool. And like I said, almost every single investigation, we'll hear something. 9 times out of 10, we'll go back and we'll hurry up and replay audio or video, and we usually catch it too. So that's the other amazing part about it. Not only did we hear it, we actually caught it on video or audio.
And obviously you do feel cold spots when you investigate and stuff like that. I remember one investigation, I was walking and I felt something like rub up against my shoulder, and Chris was holding a camcorder, and you could see this ball of energy come out, and we validated that. So you don't have to be psychic to actually feel the environment that you're in when you're investigating.
But the spirits also have to know that you're willing to speak to them. We were filming in a building, the Bisman building in Mansfield, Ohio, and we're just doing like a documentary type of thing. And no ghost thinking whatsoever on the mind, and we're setting up cameras and all that. And in between Carlo and I, it felt like somebody opened up a freezer door. So you imagine like an 85-degree hot basement, and then somebody opens up a freezer door, you feel this cold blast go between you. Like I said, we weren't even thinking paranormal at the time. Then as we were setting up this camera for an interview, we caught this little girl, like a little shadow girl, go shooting across because the building had these big pillars in the basement holding it up, and you can see this little girl like shoot out, and it's like, this is the craziest thing. We're just doing a documentary trying to talk to this guy, and we're having paranormal activity find us. Like, this little girl ran between us, and it was like playing hide and seek almost.
And we were all freaking out. that was a weird experience.
So tell us, the last question, tell us one cool story about an investigation you recently conducted.
Mine was about a couple months ago. We did West Salem. It was the old courthouse. It used to be a fire station. It was a police station. We were down in the basement. We were investigating, and I grabbed the camcorder, and I was walking forward, and all of a sudden I felt this burst of energy like rush up on my face, like right there, and I heard something go, like it said something. I couldn't make out what it said, and I started backing up real quick. I was freaking out, and I'm like, oh my God, turn that radio off, because they were doing that spirit box. And at that moment, I was holding a camcorder, and you could see this thing come out from underneath the table, like pull in. It was creepy. It was a weird experience. The hair on my arm stood up. I was kind of freaked out by it.
That was pretty wicked.
Yeah.
That video, if you see the video, it's really a pretty astounding video. I guess my experience was a local haunt that we have. It's called the Haunted Hydro. It's actually a haunted, like for, how would I call it?
It's a haunted house.
Haunted attraction, like haunted, like they jump out and scare you type of stuff. And it's been a staple of this city for like almost 30 years. It'll be 30 years next year. And they apparently have like real paranormal activity there. And I've been in Fremont about 17, 18 years. Always knew of it and everything. And Bob, the owner, actually has a couple of hearses that, of course, haunted vehicles we investigated years ago. They actually had some spirits in them. And they asked us to come out and investigate the hydro because they want to do not just the like amusement park type of scare, but they want to do like real ghost hunts there. I tell you what, I walked in and I was like, there is no way that this place is haunted.
Yeah, we all thought
it's called the Haunted Hydro, for God's sakes. Mm-hmm. There's nothing here. They just want to hype it up. You got a bunch of fools in clown outfits that I hate freaking clowns to begin with, run around like a bunch of idiots trying to scare people with the whiteouts and everything. No thanks. And I was just like, no way that this place is haunted. But you know what? They asked us to come out. I'll go in there. We'll see what's going on. And I'll tell you, I didn't believe it. I was like, this is just going to be a waste of time. You know, go in there. We hear the stories of like the actors, and they hear stuff and they see stuff. And I'm telling you, it made me a believer. It really did at that location. They would hear, they told us stories of like people walking in stones, how you can hear the crunching. And, you know, there's certain locations that you know, feel certain things. And I'm just saying, whatever. So myself and another investigator were in those locations, and we're actually outside. And it's an old hydroelectric plant, turn of the century. So we're kind of just sitting there, we're just listening, and we're the only two in this entire area. And all of a sudden, we hear stones, like somebody's walking in stones. And I'm like, okay, I thought maybe it was Carlo, another investigator. So we're like, hello? Hello? We hear the walking into stones, crunch, crunch, crunch. I get up, go one way, she gets up, goes another way. So we're circling, and we're going to come together. So if there's anybody there, we're going to meet them because we're going to sandwich them. We did it. There was nobody there. Absolutely nobody there. We replay audio. You hear the walking into stones. We can't make out. Something was saying something to us. It's some type of mumbled voice. We couldn't, you know, discern what it was. But something was actually talking to us too. So throughout the night, we had other stuff like flashlights were turning on when we asked them to. Other mumbled voices. We heard a girl scream.
Yep.
At one point.
Too.
Yeah. So we heard a girl scream and.
Humming. Like.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Uh-huh.
Right where we heard the stones crunching, we actually heard a woman humming. And it was just like, and we're just like, what the hell is going on here? And a location I would have bet a paycheck that was not haunted ended up being haunted.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I mean, that's just some of the stories. We've got a lot. I mean, we've done 400 plus investigations. We've done some of the coolest places that you can even imagine. And we're full of stories if you need any more. But next thing, should we tell where we're at?
Yeah, does it look kind of weird where we're at? Another thing that kind of sets us apart from everybody else is we actually have a command vehicle that we set up out of. And when we go to a location, we work out of this. We run all of our cameras out of this. Members can sit in here, clients can sit in here. But I'll show you what we're in. So we are currently in our command vehicle, which is an old ambulance. Well, here's our little door to the front cabin area. Put the night vision on real quick. There's the driver's seat and everything. So that's pretty cool, huh?
That's how we get around.
So we're not set up in somebody's kitchen with a couple tables and a bunch of cameras and all that. We have our own turnkey operation where we're mobile. So we can go anywhere, anytime, any location. So...
Well, we want to thank you guys for at least watching this and listening to our stories, and hope you find some interest in us. And if you have any more questions, feel free to contact us, and we'll go from there.
Yep. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Take care.